Today I'm going to tell you about the Jupiter and Saturn great conjunction that is going to go on December 21st, 2020. Today is December 18th. I realize that maybe I'm a little bit late to the punch. However, better late than never. I can give you some information that you might find useful for the next couple of days in terms of painting a picture and coming to terms and having some closure in the last stage that we experienced, and understanding what we went through and why we went through it and what we can learn from it. And then talking about the new age that we're going into and what types of things will be emphasized and what will everyday life look like and what are things that we need to focus on in order to do well in the next age. Some of the things might be kind of obvious because when you talk about spirituality, everything connects physically. So obviously Jupiter and Saturn are converging on the 21st of December, but a lot of people aren't talking about for a moment there the entire universe will be in alignment. It will hit something like 12 midnight, and then we'll see if Cinderella will turn into a pumpkin or something like that. Pretty much everybody has been going through a lot of spiritual experiences. While I'm just looking at my notes here, everybody will have a new level of awareness. So it's important now. I know it's only 2 days left, but hopefully you've been eating healthy, you've been meditating, you've been working out, you've been staying away from drama, fixing things with people that are close to you. That maybe some of us have been having some fights and disagreements with people that we know love us and that we know we love. We should be fixing those things right about now. There's a lot of crazy things going on in I would say within the black mirror, right? Like, if you're looking at a screen, that black mirror that's reflecting back to you. It's been saying a lot of crazy things this year, but you should know whenever things get crazy on the news that there's a huge opportunity energetically to create for yourself and to become something new. So that's why you see that there's a lot of energy being put into things becoming new for you. You see, you don't want the world to be created for you and just be sitting back and asking what's next. You want to be saying, this is what I'm going to be doing next. Going forward in the Aquarian age, obviously you want to be very independent. You don't want to be depending on pretty much anybody for anything. In this age of information, you can definitely buy some land out somewhere, get your solar panels, figure out how to get the free energy rocking, dig a well, find a spring or something, and really just start growing some things, finding some animals, learning how to do things around the house, getting tight with your family, friends, people in your community, people online that you might know, and just figure out who knows what and who's really doing what. Because another thing that's going to become clear with this new independence is that we went into a age where we wanted validation from people we don't even know, but now it's going to be going back to who do you know, what kind of personal relationships do you have, and how well can you trust those people, because you're going to have to rely on them. There's going to be a lot of information coming out that will make people want to divide from each other, whether they think it's for a good reason or not. There's going to be a lot of division. What you want to do is you want to try your best to keep people close. You don't want to alarm everybody, but you don't want to fake what you believe in. You want to state your facts, but don't let yourself get too unbalanced. You want to stay on your path. You want to figure out what your uniqueness is, and put some energy into that and really figure out what your end game is for life, no matter what direction you want to go in. A lot of us still want to be actors or rappers, or we want to play sports, and of course we know those things are all included in the matrix, and you will those people that are doing those things now are not necessarily free, although they do market it as this is where all the free people are at. What you want to do at the end of the day, even if you become one of them or whatever you want to become, whether it be a doctor, a lawyer, or anything that you might be interested in that might still be in the matrix, you still are going to want to get some of your own, something that you can call your own. Maybe don't be in the city where you don't have a lot of space, because it's going to become very important what you can kind of call what's yours. You know what I mean? You want to have something that you can kick people off of. You don't want to be living in something that somebody else owns or that somebody can kick you out of, because coming up in the next few years, a lot of people are going to be very vulnerable. You don't want to be too vulnerable. The less vulnerable you are, the better you will be when things like this year come along. Let's talk about how you don't even need to be believing, I don't know, a conspiracy theorist to learn that, okay, maybe the best thing to do after a year like this is to maybe get self-sufficient in a lot of different ways and learn some new things about how to grow and live off your own property, and maybe switch up a diet and realize that maybe a lot of the things around us aren't helping us. Now, this is happening on a lot of different levels, and this is a theme about how the world is ending, because I just want to get back on topic and talk about that. So the world is ending in terms of just the way that we go about things for the last, I don't know, 20, 40, 60 years. What we think is an average daily routine might look completely different. As you can see, a lot of people are at home. So that's why it's so important now to improve your space and your foundation. Time is flying. You want to be setting goals for yourself every day, even if they're small. You want to be able to look back and say, okay, I did this yesterday, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow, and this is what I'm going to do today, so that you have a clear cut goals and proof that you're moving forward in a direction, because time can get lost, especially because Saturn is a big person. It's all about time. Chronos, right? He's one of the names of Saturn. It's all about time. So when you talk about going from 3D to 5D, which a lot of people hear a big thing about that is time. And the connection in our reality to time is money. You see, and so you see a lot of money being given out and things being a lot lighter. You see a lot more people aren't gonna suffer as much, and they're gonna have a little bit more money in their pocket. However, in terms of money and survival, those things will be more taken care of for the average person, right? There won't be just people just having nothing. Now, I don't know what that cutoff line is. I don't know how much you have to work, but there's plans to have the basic income come in. However, they definitely want to keep track of us a lot more. It's you're going to be taking some mandatory stuff. A lot of things are going to become mandatory, and we're kind of getting led into it in a way that's like, hey, this is no big deal. And then at a certain point, it'll become obvious to us that we should have been making some decisions for ourselves before we got to this point. See, we have a little bit of time now before we kind of go into a new world that's being built for us that maybe not everybody's going to like. Obviously, honestly, who knows exactly what other people have planned for large portions of the population, but I think I want to make my own plan. I don't really care what anybody else's plan is. So call it what you want. Tell me what's true, what's not, what's been debunked or whatever. But I'm just gonna do my own thing. It doesn't really matter. I've already made my decision. I've seen enough. I've heard enough. I can no longer sit on the sidelines. I can no longer be fake to myself. Okay, understand me? It's like, I mean, what's the point? I mean, look how fake everything else is, man. It's like the realness needed to come out of me. It's like I can't let it sit in there anymore. I can't. And so here we are talking about the conjunction and how a lot of people are feeling the same way I'm feeling, and how this is going to be a catapult into that, because the energy first comes through. We receive the energy, people react to the energy and start moving in a certain way that a lot of people may not even understand and believe in this kind of stuff, may have been getting their life together and experiencing things and newer things and not even realizing that they're having a spiritual awakening. You don't necessarily need to be hip to this kind of stuff in order to benefit from what's going on, as long as you have pure intentions in your heart. A lot of times you really will end up where you're supposed to be at, even though you're not doing a lot of things that you're supposed to be doing, even knowing that there is a path to be on. You just need to take your daily routine to the max at this point. And I think a lot of what the last system was about was people being able to prop themselves up with money, and kind of, it's like people found out about all this diet and what the human body is truly capable of and spirituality now. So I mean, yeah, you're at a certain point, but now people are getting hip to what energy is, and the people that understand energy and connection are really going to benefit off of this next age coming in, because there's going to be new kinds of businesses. And it's important to understand the connection that humans have together, and try to invent things that um, will connect people more without a lot of the weird stuff. You realize that a lot of the largest companies now are just hosting. They're not necessarily selling you anything. They're just allowing large amounts of people to be on their platform at once, and then they just let them do whatever. Much like how the universe is built, right? So these people understand the mechanics of the universe, and try to thrust us into worlds where we relate to things. We get real comfortable with them. You know what I mean? Because it's like everything we need is right in that one spot. They like having that one stop shop type of thing. Like we want to be everything. We want to be your mama and your daddy and your sister and your brother. We're part of the family. We're inside your house now. You know what I mean? So a lot of Trojan horses have been put inside our house. We know that. And we need to identify that. We need to identify all the cheap scams that we've been getting scammed, because a lot of people have been dying off of these scams. A lot of, this is my first video, so I don't want to, it's like I'm being kind of light on certain topics, but we all know what's going on. We all know that we've been getting scammed for a long time, and we've all been kind of looking for something to end so that we can get, we just need some cover so we can go do our thing real quick. And this is that moment where, okay, realize what you need to do in your life to get from point A to point B. Realize that none of that's going to happen without having a healthy diet, without going inside yourself, with meditation and other types of substances maybe you might be interested in. However, meditation itself does suffice. You want to be working out, you want to be getting out into nature, you want to be having a connection with other people. You don't want to get too lonely, a lot of sitting in the house, sitting around. These things make you depressed, and they kind of cycle onto each other when it's like you kind of don't know what's wrong, but it's like things just keep going wrong, and you start having thoughts that just make you unhappy. It's like, even if you're spiritual, you can hit this point of complete happiness. However, we all have times where we can dip low, that we forget certain things in our routine, and our vibration starts to lower, and we kind of blindsides us, and then we don't exactly know where we're at after that. And so we need to raise our vibration again. We need to realize more secrets in the universe, more of the rules, because we don't even really know the rules or what's going on here. I mean, up until this point, we've kind of explored a lot of things with psychedelics, with the diet, with the meditation. We've, had some thoughts at the same time as other people. We might have had some slight levitation with some meditation in the pool, off of some DMT. We've seen some things on the other side, on the other realm. However, I think the ancestors had more of a control over these things. Like, I'm just looking at things like the telephone is like, we didn't really need telephones because we had the astral plane. All you needed to do was send a thought to somebody that would come back. You sit in certain machines, you dematerialize, you appear right in some other machine across the world. There's tunnels going on. This was like Lord of the Rings, people doing magic, people playing with energies, people completely free, having all types of inventions. There was little regulations. You got people with, boats, like plane boats, and just house plane boats, and it's just submarines. The freedom that we could have, I think, and I'm just kind of just saying a lot of words, right? But a lot of the freedoms that we have, I don't even think we understand once we hit a certain level of freedom what we would actually be doing, because it would just be like, okay, it was just a contest to see who is more unique, who's more amazing, and just positive. Like, everybody's just sitting back waiting for the next amazing thing to come out, like it should be, right? But those things haven't been happening lately, and we need to identify why. We don't have the luxury to sign off another 4 years of our life here. You know what I'm saying? We need to take the reins and do some research, Stop believing people that we know aren't transparent with us and start going forward here. This is all about what the age of Aquarius is, because we need to put the nail in that Illuminati coffin, because it's kind of like when you start to love that abuser that's been abusing you. It's like, okay, we know what's going on and we need to move on from that. That's another big thing that's going to come on. Okay, now we're going to start building things that are completely independent from certain people that want to limit humanity and only benefit themselves. We're going to start to build platforms that are completely independent, that can't be spied on, and expect to be called crazy a lot of times, and people just won't understand where you're coming from. However, if you know the truth, you can always make a connection, because people know what's true and what's not. So if somebody comes to you with something that's fake, that might not be true, and some information, all you need to do is say something that's true, that you know is true, and stick with it, and you'll be there at the end. You don't have to worry about winning. You've already won, because you once you learn the truth, that's the victory. That's the truth is the victory. And so we've won now, right? Because the people that are putting this act on, they're living a lie right now. They're not you feel me? They lost. They'll take the L, right? They got off on the first exit when somebody offered them some money in order for their soul. They got off and everybody else kept going, right? So here we are, soul still intact. We got banged up a little bit, but we learn how to put ourselves back together now, and kind of getting some spiritual intuition here and figuring out how to make things happen, figuring out who's out here, what's going on, trying to figure out what happened in history, trying to piece things together, and then figure out what's going forward, because we know that we've been told so many things that aren't true. So like I said, listen, people don't notice everything, but clearly you are noticing things. You are trying to learn and benefit yourself with new knowledge, like you should be, right? Like we all should be. And you should never feel bad about that. You should never feel guilty. So in 2021, and after, this December 21st conjunction comes, you need to never feel guilty about the truth. You see, it's like the coming out party. We let a lot of other people come out, but we need to find some comfortability in the truth here, because that it's quite comfortable there. You know what I'm saying? Every time you speak the truth and you stand in truth, you gain more power. You feel better about yourself. You might feel bad at first, but you will gain power. And I know that we shouldn't be getting into conflicts, because those cause duality effects, and it puts us in judgment, and winning and losing, and a lot of that needs to go away as well. I mean, it's no need to engage with people that aren't going to give you any type of advancement. I mean, you just be wasting your time and wasting theirs, right? So I mean, learning about minerals, different herbs, how to take your breaths, breathe deeply, how to properly meditate, and just continue to perfect those things, because when you're outside something like the system, which always has a plan for you, because they have a plan, right? So it's like we have to get used to planning things for ourselves, becoming our own managers, our own CEOs. And also, we need to get comfortable with talking to ourselves, because sometimes we just don't like the way we talk to ourselves. We might come in there with a voice, maybe that's like our parents or somebody over us. It's just like you have different aspects of yourself. So if you're trying to, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna change everything, you're gonna make parts of yourself unhappy. So it's a great time to figure out how to have compassion for yourself and those parts of yourself that maybe you don't think are perfect yet, because it's like, even though times are bad, sometimes you miss those times though. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes you look back on things that you just wanted to get out of so bad, and then you might have one positive memory, and you say, man, you know what, it wasn't even that bad. Maybe it was just all about how I looked at it. And so it's important to love the journey, because we are immortals and we will live again, and we might not even die this age. I know I am not. I know that. I mean, saying that kind of caught you off guard, like, just right on camera. But I forgot where I was even at right there, but basically, I just want to say that we can't judge ourselves and speak to ourselves in a way that makes ourselves unhappy. We need to learn how to have compassion for ourselves and live in a way that makes us happy, in a way, and also in a way that's congruent with how the universe was created and how we created the universe, because those are how we get the best results. And a lot of times it's hard to find a purpose, but when you start working with the universe and have purity and love in your heart, things become come to unfold for you, and there's real progress being made, right? You feel that progress day by day, and you start to realize, okay, I'm retaining my essential bodily fluids, my diet's on point, I'm making progress in the weight room, I'm meditating, I feel the energy going up my spine at this point. I understand what's going on with the energy and how it's raising and expanding in every direction, and here I am ready for the next stage. That's where we need to be at all times, every single day, because yes, there is kind of like a limit to the energy that you can harness every day, because you also have your body. And there's some things to be understood about Saturn, and saying Saturn is bad, because it's an energy. It can be used for good and used for bad. So I mean, yes, we got caught in a negative kind of cycle here, and maybe those things were in the stars for us, but I'm just not comfortable with saying, okay, well, we needed to suffer. All these people needed to suffer in order for this new age to come in. I think overall we can look back and say a lot of us got banged up. There was a lot of racism. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of fear of becoming our true selves, but also not even knowing who our true selves were, because, a lot of times it seems like the only amazing things you could do is go out somewhere, try to be famous, and get some type of attention, maybe dribble a basketball, play a sport, start singing, get on a reality show, try to scam somebody, with your business or something. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of honest people out here, but really what was highlighted was a lot of fake shit, let's be honest. And so we need to come into an age where the real is appreciated, and people get rewarded for honesty, having morals, having honor, and standing for something. We need to realize that people should be able to say whatever they want to say. However, we have a right to protect ourselves, and we don't have to be nice all the time. Just because we talk about spirituality doesn't mean that we're a pushover. Obviously, there's a huge need for protection, and there is such thing as spiritual protection. If your heart is pure, you have nothing to be afraid of. Already know we shall live again, and nobody will harm you. It's just something that's it's just hard ironed in it. Even if somebody comes in and they attack, they just attack the whole city or something like that, you'll get out. You'll be fine. Like, you've been fine this whole time, but what we've been doing is we've been panicking. We've been looking at information and not knowing what to do with it. But at a certain point, the energy has been bottlenecking within me so much that it got to a point where I had to speak out and say a few things here and get onto a new stage in my life, possibly, and begin helping people. So obviously there's nothing to be afraid of with this new age that's going on. Obviously, some people will be afraid because some people are afraid of change. And you see, when things are changing, when things are in motion, you always have an opportunity to make them go in favor for yourself. That's one of the tenets of Judo. Was that judo? Sorry. Yeah, right. Yeah, where the energy, you use the energy where the energy's already going. You can just take the energy and divert it somewhere that it's already was going, but just in your direction. Yeah. Think about it. Run that back, you'll get it. Trust me. But you want to just be judo with the energy. Whenever something's happening, you just say, good, I'm going to use that to make myself more independent. I'm going to use that to get a super meditation in. I'm going to get a couple more reps today on the bench or whatever, because, they really are wilding out on us out here. You know what I mean? And so, like I said, there's nothing to be afraid of. Get yourself together here. Realize how you can become more independent, yet more strong. Once you become independent and strong, you can build relationships with other people that are independent and strong, and build a web, you know, like an internet of people who are independent and strong and stand for something. Now, when it comes to waking people up, of course, it's going to happen to everybody eventually. We all have a date with it. It's on the path. It's natural. It's just how much do people want to fool around at a certain level before they realize there's nothing else for them to accomplish, right? So people will be waking up. It's important to start with diet. Don't go in about their beliefs yet. Let them get their diet, because when you have better diet, alkaline, you start looking a little bit healthy, maybe you lose 10 pounds, you become more receptive to other new ideas. A lot of people, they're stuck in cycles and they're not really progressing. They're not even really familiar with progress other than monetary gain, right? That's really like one of the only ways to gauge progress. A lot of news articles like Forbes or whatever, they'll make it obvious that the only way they think anything is moving forward if it's making money, and we all know money's not even real really at a certain level. We just are forced to use it every day because we're at this level, but at a certain level, people, I mean, it doesn't even matter. They just make numbers up and whatever, 500 billion, 7 trillion, doesn't really matter, right? So let's just sit with this information right now. We're gonna go into it. Obviously, yes, some amazing things can happen. Some light shows can go on. Some dramatic realizations can go on. Spiritual experiences, huge coincidences. As you get closer to that date, maybe things will get a little more crazier before they get better, only because it's like when you're approaching that 0 point, things seem to be pushing you away until you hit that point of no return, where okay, now I've landed and I don't have to worry about the things that I was worried about before. But until you get to that point, things may appear like they're getting a little bit worse. Just know that you need to stick with it and believe in yourself, because going forward you will really have to believe in yourself and really be able to be comfortable with yourself, because outside world will not always reflect to you that things are safe and things are going well, you know what I mean? So it's important to always know and keep that mindset so that you always end up where you're supposed to be and you don't change the decisions that you've made to better yourself. So let's go with that for a little while. Let's go into it for a few days. Everything that's happening, I know a lot of people are saying a lot of things, a lot of EMPs and all the lights turning off and things like that. Like I said, if you ever shutting off the internet, you know, all the conspiracy theories, like I said, if you have that spiritual connection and that purity in your heart, which we should all be striving for, that you will never have a problem with somebody turning off the lights on you, because you are the light, trust me. And it's even like sometimes the words that are used create things in our mind, because, you know, it's just, you know, EMP would be great because we have free lights in the sky. We have we'll figure it out, trust me. Like these, and a lot of times we take for granted how much certain people want us to be in this and using all this stuff, and how we could easily move on to something that's better. Like if we started using something better for like 1 second, we would realize that all of this other shit is bullshit, right? So it's like they don't want everything to shut off. So we'll see what happens. But I guarantee you that we'll all be here and that we'll all be okay. We'll all be able to speak to each other and say hello. But we need to start looking into ourselves and what we can do for ourselves and for each other, and for our immediate families and things like this, the people that are really around us, because we have to realize that a lot of these mediums that we use to communicate with each other people own, and they can turn it off if they want. I mean, I'm not saying that they would never do that, but I don't think it's necessarily in their best interest to go straight for something like that. And before I start going into they too much, I just want everybody to know that things are going to be okay, that just stay strong here, keep looking at the sky, because things are going to get interesting, and you know, I'll continue to make videos here. I truly believe this is a purpose of mine and this is an interest of mine. I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube, and some of the stuff I'm saying, a lot of people do say and have already said, but a lot of things people haven't said necessarily from my point of view. So maybe I'll have something to offer. I'll put the videos out there, I'll see what happens, and maybe I'll keep going. But I hope everybody's well, and just know that we're over here working and working on our independence, and my family's involved, and that things are going well on this side, and I hope things are going well for you. So stay strong. Boom.